Very.
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Nagy. I'm here as always with my co-host Liam McNeil. Liam, how are you tonight?
I'm well, thank you, Nagy. Very well. Having a wonderful week so far. Wonderful week. Very good weekend. Enjoyed it wholeheartedly.
Could we have any more of a wonderful week when we've had such a full and prosperous week with not only winning 6 in a row, an unprecedented form hit of 6 in a row, and also a bit of Origin in there. Not the result that we wanted from Origin.
It wasn't. It wasn't, but the night was the result we wanted, wasn't it? We had a wonderful evening at the Commonwealth Hotel, didn't we, Nagy?
You know, I liked it so much. You know, I sort of wish we could be right back there right now. And for all of you that missed it, here's what it looked like. Good evening and welcome to the Joust, a very special episode of the Joust, State of Origin game number 1. It's the football's night of nights. Now, Liam, what's it like inside?
Oh, look, the excitement's building, the crowd's building. This place is going to be spilling over within the hour, I would imagine. It's like footy Christmas this time of year, you know, early June when the maroon and blue come out. Very excited, Nagy, very excited indeed.
Now, there's going to be a bit of a different episode for you this week, Jousters. We're going to get amongst you, the punters, inside the one and only Commonwealth Hotel, the only place to watch Sport on the Hunter. Liam, I say we get in there and check it all out.
Absolutely, Nagy. Let's do this. Now we're here with the Pigeons' very own Gavin Morton. Now, Gavin, this is the big night. This is footy Christmas. This is what we all wait for. Who are you picking for man of the match tonight, Gavin?
It's got to be Teddy, Matt. Got to be Teddy.
Got to be Teddy, the number one from New South Wales for man of the match there. And Gavin, how do you see the game panning out?
Oh, it'll be hard early. Queensland at home with the refs, always going to be tough. But I think we'll fight through that and then come home strong.
Excellent opinions, Gavin. Opinions we agree with here at the Joust. Over to you, Nagy.
Thanks, Liam. Now, we've got a couple of punters here. What was your name, mate?
EJ.
EJ and...
James.
We've got EJ. Are you two brothers? Geez, you look alike.
No, just good mates.
Just good mates? Okay, very good. Geez, you sort of look a bit like Jack DeBellin as well. Did anyone tell you that? Both of you sort of look a bit like Jack DeBellin.
I don't even know who that is.
It's probably a good time not to know who Jack DeBellin is if it's going to be right. That's very serendipitous, boys. But obviously here for Origin tonight, who do you think is going to come away with the bickies?
Well, I'm New South Wales and he's a Queenslander.
Oh, you got a Queenslander over here. Yeah. Whereabouts in Queensland are you from, mate?
Mission Beach.
Whereabouts is that, sorry?
North Queensland.
North Queensland, so he's right in the mix of it. All right, okay. Well, it's welcome to come south of the border. So rugby league's not really your game, you're saying?
Bit over it at the moment. Bit over it.
Bit over it.
Yeah.
Oh right. What happened? Has rugby league tortured you in the past?
Nah, it's just boring now. It's just too boring. Yeah, I'm not quite the build for it.
Thanks, EJ. Thanks, boys. Liam, who have you got over there, Liam?
Thank you, Nagy. I'm here with Dean from the Newcastle Knights. Now, Dean, we got a couple of Knights in each squad tonight. What are you expecting out of the boys?
Good one. I think Ponga man of the match. Unfortunately, I think Queensland are going to get us. Just a thought. I think Clem is going to run his average 200 metres and then probably about 100 post contact. We'll see how we go.
And have you got the inside word, mate? Will Clemmer and Pong be backing up for sure?
I reckon they're going neck to neck. I don't think they're going to hold back at all. It's going to be interesting.
And will they be playing the next round?
Look, they've been named. You saw our team list, so they'll be their names. I think it's going to be... I reckon my opinion is that Ponga plays it, not safe, but he doesn't get hit that hard because he's so elusive. Clemmer, different story. So I reckon Ponga might, but I reckon Clemmer's going to be hard task.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Dean. Back to you, Nagy.
All right, we're at the hottest table at the Commonwealth Hotel here. We've got the one of the only Queenslanders that we can find. Now, Tom, let me scooch in. Look, if you scan the room, you obviously see a lot of blue because we're in New South Wales heartland here. Yet still you choose to wear the other colour. Now, what... Every year, mate, you decide, what brings you... Do you like being hated, or is it a...
I do enjoy the niggling. I love it. I love getting amongst it. But I don't know. You can't wear anything but. I don't know why you guys wear that shit.
Oh, mate, I tell you what. It's like when you got to know when to pull out. That's the key. It's very important to know when to give it up, mate. And I think last year showed that the dynasty has come to an end. What are your thoughts?
I'm never really this. I'm quietly confident. I'm never usually this confident, but I don't know. Picking Cleary in the halves, I don't know.
Well, Queenslanders, blind confidence. Liam, who have you got over there?
Now, I'm here with Joust alumni Harry Rigney. Harry, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you on. It's been a while.
It has been a while, yeah. Good to see you.
You won't answer our calls, mate. What's going on?
Come on, mate. I'm not going to answer those. Don't have a proper number, ever.
Now, Harry, this is the biggest night of all of the footy season, mate. What's your tip for tonight?
My tip is Queensland 1-12. As much as I hate to say it, I think, big KP at the back. They look pretty good. They've got like 4 or 5 half-back, 5/8s. I generally think that they're going to get there just, and I'm not happy about it.
That'd be paying a few bucks as well, Queensland 1-12.
$3.20, mate. Might have looked at it. Might have had a glance. But,
and why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. $2.80, New South Wales 1-12, but I do think Queensland will get there for some reason.
Nice. Well, thank you again for coming on the show, Harry. Tipping Queensland, though, you're never coming back. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, we're here, Liam. Right in the mix, right in the epicentre of sport in the Hunter Sports Bar at the Commonwealth Hotel. Now, Liam, the game coming up. Game 1, New South Wales versus Queensland, up there in enemy territory. Where are your concerns? How do you think the game's going to be won and lost?
Look, it's always a tough ask. I think the biggest factor that's going to affect New South Wales is that crowd, that big passionate crowd of Queenslanders. It's going to pack the place out. There'll be about 50,000 of them up there. But I don't think there'll be enough to get the Queenslanders over the line. But in terms of players, we'll be looking out for that left edge, Kalen Ponga and Cameron Munster, rolling down that left edge, trying to exploit some space. So I think the Blues are really going to have to muscle up in defence just to stop those two, particularly.
I've got some concerns around a few things amongst the Blues side. I think the Blues have it. I think we can get out and get points early. I think the inexperience of the bench might come into play if we're chasing a lead. But also, I think we're going to have too much for them in the forwards. I think our forwards for the Blues are going to overpower them, get through in the middle with likes of David Clemmer, Damien Cook, and Paul Vaughan. They're just going to be too big, too strong through the middle, get to their 20, and then swing it out to the likes of Latrell Mitchell. I've got Latrell scoring a double tonight, but that's where I think our strike is. Where do you think the strike is for New South Wales?
I think you're exactly right. Straight through the middle there with man you mentioned there, Damien Cook and James Tedesco. They formed a brilliant combination in Origin last year, and I hope they can rekindle it again and just tear up through the middle.
Who's the fella that Latrell Mitchell's marking now? That's
Will Chambers.
William Chambers. Now, this man, you've got to admire his bravery, or is it stupidity that he's decided to mark him once again? Will it be the start of a great rivalry, or will it just be the end of Will Chambers' career?
Look, I think old man Chambers is really digging out the bottom of the barrel this year, trying to hold his own against Latrell. I think it'll be another points decision to Latrell after he. I won't say what he did to him last year because it's quite rude, but yes, he certainly made him look terrible.
He had to call and apologise to Will Chambers' mother afterwards. That's how intense it was. Look, 5 debutants for New South Wales this year. There was 13 last year. We basically have a team full of people that just are brand fresh new to Origin. But if we look over at the Queensland side as well, the likes of, I was about to say Darren Lockyer, he's been gone for a while.
He's been gone for some time now.
But we've got Jonathan Thurston, Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, gone, all set up retired, with their feet up on the table, eating pretzels, watching the game tonight, much like a lot of the punters here at the Commonwealth Hotel are doing. But it obviously takes away, this is the new Queensland side. Is this echoes of 95 where Queensland wasn't expected to do anything and they win 3-0, Liam? Do you think they can do that again?
I don't think they will. Obviously 95, they had coaching whiz Paul Fatty Vaughton there. I don't think Kevy Walters can really hold a candle to Fatty in terms of coaching, but remains to be seen.
Now, Liam, we're going to get in amongst the punters tonight and really dig our fingers down to the knuckles with this crowd, and we're really looking forward to it. But before then, we've got our northern correspondent, Narmate, up at the game, also talking to the punters up there. But boys, can you hear me?
Yes, Nagy, we can hear you. This is Narmate outside Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. And if you have a look around, just to get the camera around here, as you can see, the game was last night, not now.
Sorry about that, yeah.
Had a few drinks and we forgot to record this video. What did you think of the game, Sam?
Yeah, it was a bit shit, wasn't it? I mean, it started out all right.
Yeah, a lot of positive moments.
Clemmer ripping in.
Yeah.
You know, we're really bending him back. Damien Cook was getting out doing Damien Cook things.
He was cooking.
And then it all went to shit, didn't it? For some reason, Fittler thought, you know what, Clemmer should really play on Friday night.
Yep.
Should really play against the Rabbits. I'm not going to play him anymore. And then,
Well, it's not. It's considerate, I guess.
It is considerate.
In a way.
And then Cody Walker decided that he didn't want to play football anymore at all, so he's not going to play either, so that's nice. But otherwise, we just got pounded in the end, didn't we?
Right at the end, yeah. Just kind of ran away from us. And Kalen Ponga, those passes, they don't look nice when he's wearing those colours.
Yeah, no. Now, if we can stop that, that'd be great. I mean, not stop him in the game, just don't let him play, I guess.
Yeah.
That'd be better.
Some sort of rule, perhaps we could try and find fine print.
He's a Kiwi, isn't he? Anyway, back to you.
Back to you, boys.
Thanks, boys. Looks like you're having a lot of fun up there, and we're having a lot of fun down here too. Now, Liam, I can't wait to get amongst this Origin crowd on the very eve of the first game. But first, I'm going to run to the bar and get myself a delicious beer.
Murray's 262, the beer for Origin.
Let's get amongst it. Well, Liam, obviously not the result we wanted. Going down 18-14. New South Wales looks in control for maybe the first half. Second half, Queensland rallied. But is that what should we expect being up there in Queensland?
I think that crowd up there is definitely worth a few points, and just so happens that it was those few points that won them the game. You know, we leave the Commie with a heavy heart, but not defeated. It's only game one of a 3-game series, so we leave heavy-hearted, but we're not down. We're not down yet. The blue spirit will shine on, and let's go for game 2 in Perth.
That's the beauty of the Tri-Series, is that we have another game to make up for it in Perth, and then we bring it home back to Sydney, so there's 2 games yet to play. Thanks everyone for joining us for a joust out and about here at the Commonwealth Hotel. We'll certainly be here for game 2, so make sure you tune in again. But Liam, as a pleasure as always.
And a pleasure it always is, and never a chore.
Thanks, Joust. We'll see you next week, or definitely next week.
Wasn't that something, Liam? It was fantastic. It was. So thanks for everyone who came along. It was a wonderful evening, and yeah, like we said, not the result we wanted, but a lot to learn from and grow for game 2.
Hopefully so. Look, I think there's been a lot of harshness towards the Blues around that performance, but it was only really an intercept that really turned the game. I think if that ball finds hands and then we end up scoring again, we've almost sealed the game off, or we've gotten to a point where we put ourselves in a really good position to win. So it's it's that swings and roundabouts.
That's it. It's not all doom and gloom, Nagy. Never understood that saying swings and roundabouts.
No,
but
I'd say about the Central Coast that it's all hills and roundabouts, but that's a negative thing. Where swings and roundabouts tend to be fairly more.
Well, they're fun.
They're fun.
Swings are fun. Roundabouts are fun.
Yeah. I always liked a roundabout. It's traffic lights. Yeah, they're very mechanical, but a roundabout's just sort of there.
Very personable.
Everyone just knows what to do.
You get to share the driving experience with other people, which is always a bit of fun.
Can I just say also, Liam, your aftershave that you're wearing reminds me only of my grandfather's house.
It's an old man's aftershave, that's why.
Can you describe what it is?
Well, I can. It's Ralph Lauren Polo Green Original, and very musty, I'd say. Very musty notes of leather, sandalwood.
Yeah.
It's a very much an over 50s feel, and that's what I'm going for.
Varnish.
That's a bit of varnish in there, stale cigars.
That's what I think it was.
It's the aesthetic and the look I'm really going for, that retiree chic, I suppose you'd call it.
Only of my grandfather's house from the late 90s.
And doesn't that bring back great memories?
It was nostalgic.
I just want to bring back nostalgia with everyone I meet. I want everyone I meet to feel nostalgic for a better time, a more innocent time, a simpler time.
It was more innocent, I gotta say. Definitely more innocent. But Liam, as we said before, 6 in a row for the Knights. Now, there's been chats all the way through since it was 3 in a row, and then it was like, when was the last time it was 3 in a row? It was, 2017, there was 4 in a row, and there was 2006, and there was 5 in a row, and that was 2005. 6 in a row, I think we've gone off the charts.
I think we've effectively left time and space with 6 in a row. We certainly haven't, our fried egg memories can't remember the last time it happened.
If there's any jousters out there that can remember the last time the Knights won 6 or even 7 in a row, have we actually left the charts of form? Because I know, even if we go back to those really successful times, I think 97 wasn't a particularly regular season successful time. I think we finished sort of 5th or something from memory. And then even 2001, those years that you think, we didn't lose. But there was definitely a lot of losses losses in there and 6 in a row. We're definitely now the informed team of the competition.
We are, which is such a strange thing to be saying about the Knights. And isn't it wonderful? I think it's the first time since we've begun our podcast here on the Joust that the Knights have been the informed team of the competition.
Yeah, over a particularly length of time. Now, we really cemented this spot with a win over the Rabbitohs on Friday night at the 6 o'clock game. Now, I thought this was in Newcastle right up until kickoff.
Nagy was at the stadium wondering why no one else was there.
I thought, I've got a great seat. This is going to be fantastic. It might, call it what you will. Call it an Origin hangover. Call it, maybe a blip in my memory, and call it maybe just the early signs of what's it called again?
Dementia.
Dementia, yes.
Early onset Alzheimer's.
Yeah. You could call it any of those things. Who are you again? No, just flashes again. But for what it is we managed to go down to Sydney and beat a team that we haven't beaten in 8 years.
A team who prior to this were the informed team of the competition. We've stolen the mantle. If anything.
Now, this was a team that was also without some big stars. We had much of our spine mixed up. Mason Lino coming in. We didn't have Kalen Ponga here being rested, so we had Kurt Mann back there. A lot of people were saying Kurt Mann is not a fullback, and he's going to get targeted. And Connor Watson moved to the starting number 9. Big roll of the die there, but obviously there was no Adam Reynolds, no Cody Walker, must be said. But they had Jimmy the Jet, all the Burgess boys, all 17 of them. I think everyone's got a little bit of Burgess in them these days at South. That's how much of an institution they've become at those places. These hulking forwards that just seem to have in previous years rampaged over us and been the ones to really set the platform. And from the get-go, we just out-enthused.
Well, that's it. This year they were rampaged upon Nagy.
Yes.
I didn't know that you could say that about someone, that they were rampaged upon. But Daniel Safidi seemed to take the loss of David Clemmer quite personally and rampaged all over the place. He was a rampaging. Not Roy Slavin, because he's not known for his athletic prowess, but he was on a rampage.
It was something special to see Dan Safidi, a player that's always considered like one of the young buck forwards that's coming up through and really showing his potential against a really fierce forward pack in those 3 Burgess boys.
And not only 3 Burgess boys, it's got Cam Murray in there as well, who had a fantastic Origin game. You've got the 3 Burgeye, and probably some other good forwards in there that I can't remember.
Tualala? Something. Those ones that are a little bit harder to pronounce. Burgeye, I like as a plural.
Burgeye, thank you.
It's like if they made their own fish fingers.
Yeah,
by
absolutely.
Burgeye.
But that forward pack as well, run around by Damien Cook, again, who's been in great form, but was shut down expertly by the Knights. He didn't have anywhere near his usual impact.
No.
It just felt to me like a very well-coached performance. We knew the weaknesses of the South Sydney Rabbitohs that a lot of other teams hadn't so far throughout the year, and we exploited them.
For such a long time, we seem like the team that better teams go, that's where their weakness is, and exploit us. Whether it be in previous years, we're a bit thin out in the centres as far as defence, or putting lots of pressure on an underperforming player like Brock Lamb. And then this game, it was we exploited them. By the first try, by Heimel Hunt just sort of ran through and made it look very easy. It's so soft of a try. It looked like the ones that we usually concede in previous years. And I think that was just the perfect thing to get South just off out of their mindset of like, we need to now fight back and get this control back, and I don't think they ever did.
And that was the first sign that this was all part of a bigger plan to beat Souths, because that edge defence of Jimmy the Jet and the winger outside him hadn't even played together. They've had very little training together, so Brownie clearly spotted a weakness there and said, let's go at it, and it paid dividends very early with that try to Heimel Hunt, who had another fantastic game. He's been in rare form for holding that centre spot from Tautau Moga. He's been fantastic.
Bit of a quiet achiever, which we'll touch on a little bit more a little bit later. Yes,
and more to be said about Daniel Safidi later as well.
Absolutely. Let's jump into it right now, Liam. Who got hats off for this week?
Hats off this week went to that man himself, Daniel Safidi. 98 run metres, 38 post-contact metres, but...
It was the way he did it.
It was the way he did it. You can't really sum up what he did in the numbers there. He was absolutely immense, and good to see him start throwing some punches around as well. Not afraid to retaliate against a fellow big man in Thomas Burgess.
It was the biff is back. It was back. Now there was I remember it was right before halftime, and we were all watching, and we seemed to have the ascendancy. And this is when obviously the Burgess boys went out there and said, get it back. It was Wayne Bennett's obviously gone out there and said, just stop letting these guys push you around. So there was a bit of a tough and tumble between Dan Safidi and one of the Burgess guys, Thomas Burgess,
who threw a headbutt.
Yes,
illegally.
Yeah, he threw it illegal headbutt. And I think, Wayne Bennett's used this tactic before when he had a Rampage and Gordon Tallis out there, and he just said, look, go out there, pick their biggest running meters forward and just give them a few on the chin.
Which you'll remember led to that...
Ben Ross.
Ben Ross.
Poor Ben Ross copped so many punches through his career and then had his arm broken in retirement.
While he was arm wrestling.
So he's never really come out of a 1v1 very well. But that was such it could have been the turning point of the game. 4 sin bins, which in my opinion, and I was very vocal on the page to say that the referee lost control of that game. He was flustered during that point. And you can tell a referee that has like a Tony Archer or a Tim Manda or what was that guy that everyone loves that hasn't ref in ages?
Bill Harrigan.
Bill Hollywood Harrigan.
And
when he used to come over and just to gain control back, he would actually talk to the players and say, "This is what's going on. This is where it's going to stop. And if there's any more of that, this is going to happen." But there was the video ref watched it again and again, and seemed to be quite obvious that there was a headbutt thrown, and then there was some punches thrown after that from both players, and then everyone in. The ref stood silent, and he was listening obviously to a lot of people to the report of the touchy, and then he just sent everyone for 10. You can go for 10. You can go for 10. And players walked up and he said, "You go." And it's like, you can at least say, "All right, Lockie Fitz, you're third man in. You got to go for that. That's the rules." But instead he just went, "Go."
That's it.
Go.
To not explain his decision, I thought was very, very amateurish.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And it just screamed of a ref that, like you said, had lost control of the game. And I think that showed throughout the game. The officiating wasn't great, but we got the point, so who cares?
It was that point coming back out in the second half, obviously with 11 on 11. I think they thought that was going to rub us the wrong way, and it just didn't. We managed to keep the game plan solid. There was obviously like a lot more. Like Jimmy the Jet found a bit of space a few times, and looked dangerous, and that could have worked for them.
From all accounts, the players had a bit of fun while they were 11 on 11. With that extra space, a bit of extra room to move. From all accounts, the players actually had a great time.
Could that be the future of the NRL? Like losing a few players, maybe shortening the game. People's attention spans aren't good anymore, so we're going to go 10 on 10, but it's only 40 minutes long.
Boy, that sounds like something they did a few years ago in Auckland, Nagy. That's all starting to sound very familiar.
Well, apparently going to bring that back as well.
Well, there's that World Nines World Cup, but also
who did he beat for the?
Also notable in hats off was Connor Watson. I thought Connor Watson had an absolutely fantastic game, filling in for Danny Levi at hooker. He had 48% of the Facebook vote. Sorry, Dan Safidi got 58% of the Facebook vote, 47% of the Twitter vote. Connor Watson got 48% of the Facebook vote and 36% of the Twitter vote. He had 117 running meters, 7 tackle breaks, and that try that really sealed the game. He has proven that I think he's our long-term number 9.
Yeah, well, that's you've come out and said it.
I've come out and said it.
It's on record now,
and I think I'm going to stand by it. Now, I don't think he's the kind of 9 that you play for 80 minutes, but he's that real excellent running, hard tackling.
He made 40 plus tackles as well, and that's if you consider his regular game defending 3 in, he would make maybe half that. So huge physical effort from Connor.
And it was Gordon Tallis was the sideline reporter on Fox, and when Connor Watson came off, he went over to him and a bit concerned, said, "Mate, what's up?" And he just said, "I'm gassed."
And
he's gassed.
And it's true, like obviously playing right in the middle and doing all the work and still running out for over 100 metres against the hooker that has made this game, made that style of play famous. It's a huge feat. I don't think Connor Watson is our long-term number 9. I feel like I don't know. He's just playing himself into that 14 jersey.
I may have gone off half-cocked, Nagy. I've been known to do that before.
I don't know. I just think against a different in that game, it worked really well, and I feel like possibly other games, with other teams like the Storm, I would much prefer having someone else into that number 9.
Yeah, perhaps in a grittier game, his tactics might not work quite so well. I see your point, Nagy, and I'm happy to change my opinion.
Another strong game from Mitchell Pearce as well.
Mate.
Hasn't he put his hand so firmly up? He's like a child at the back of the room that really, really wants to answer the question. That's how sometimes you see those children and their arms up, and then it's not quite up, and they have to support their arm with their other arm. That's how much he wants. He's put his hand up for the Blues.
But the most amazing thing for me watching Mitchell Pearce is just how slow he was playing, and this is something I've started to notice. He's starting to play very slowly, where time just slows down around him. He'll get the ball, and he won't necessarily have to run very hard to do what he needs to do. He'll just take a few steps, sum up the situation, and then throw the right pass, put in the right kick. He's playing with the right tempo. He's slowing it down when he needs to.
He's playing his tempo.
His tempo, that's right. He's not letting the game dictate how fast he moves.
Yeah.
He is dictating how fast the game moves. And, it's resulting in some of the best form of his career.
Just like that movie Whiplash, where have you seen the movie Whiplash?
Never seen the movie
It's like a
Whiplash.
drumming movie, but he keeps saying not quite my tempo.
A drumming movie?
Yeah.
That sounds boring.
Yeah, look, maybe I'm overselling it. It's that's good. It's like I can't really describe it any further. Go out and watch Whiplash and tell me what you think if you haven't already seen it. Liam doesn't watch films anymore, apparently.
Well, I haven't had a laptop for quite a while, and that was my only real...
You watch films on television, Liam. That's the medium that people typically...
I use that for rugby league, Nagy.
I'm glad you said rugby league.
Television's for rugby league.
I thought you might have said you're going for a different medium on television and you prefer the widescreen. Talking about pornography, all right. Let's look forward now, because obviously there's with 6 wins in a row in form. We've cemented 5th on the ladder. We're sort of tying points with Sharks, who are below us on 16 points.
Canberra ahead of us on for and against.
For and against only. So we're in that middle, top middle. That's probably not the best way to describe it. That's how I'm going to describe it tonight.
It's a good place to be in life. Top middle.
Top middle.
Yeah.
And it's not too expensive, but it's but it's just that you've just it's your birthday and you've decided to treat yourself.
So 4 stars out of 5.
You'll get a drink from the top middle. But what comes with that is a lot of pressure, a lot of expectation now. We're coming off those 5 losses in a row. I think every team we played thought like, oh well, the wheels are going to fall off soon. And we've done it with a heavily reduced side. So you could argue that we've played Roosters, Rabbits in times where they've had players out, but players will be out. You can't always put your best 17 on in the middle of the season. And
it was something that Cooper Cronk said after the loss to the Knights and after their most recent loss. A premiership's not won with 17 players. You don't win the comp with 17 players. You win the comp with your full complement of 30 players. So if they can't put out a 17 that's as strong as it should be, that's the club's own fault. And you can't be writing off victories like that, which I think a lot of people are happy to do. But you can't be writing off victories just because a few key players are out.
When we're looking at the end of the season and we're thinking, okay, we needed this many wins to get in the 4, this many wins to stay in the 8, they're the wins that count. And right in the middle of the season, that there's no real pressure on them. You don't really move up, down. We actually moved down from that win, but it's all about putting those points on the board. It's like getting some stuff away from safekeeping for a rainy day, and that rainy day is finals time. So it's going to be an exciting time that we're actually performing in the middle of the season to be really working towards a period of prosperity at the end. Maybe not. Maybe the wheels will fall off. But what the next step is for us is the Melbourne Storm next week.
That's going to be a real toughie, Nagy. They're in some, they're in a real purple patch, I suppose you'd say, but they've been in a purple patch for the last 10 years.
So much so they literally wear purple.
They wear purple because they're forever in a purple patch. But, this is going to be a very interesting game for the Knights. This will be I think the real gauge on where we stand and, whether we're pretenders or not, which I don't think we are. I'm not saying that. I just wanted to use that word as, certain members of the rugby league media will at times. This will be the real game to gauge where we are at.
So obviously we've got the team out this week, tonight of when we're recording this. So it's and we obviously welcome Kalen Ponga back into the side.
Kalen Ponga will be back at fullback. Kurt Mann will go back to 6. Watson holds on to the number 9 jersey. Josh King has come in for Pasami Solo on the bench.
The Soul Man got a couple of good hit ups in very few minutes. We basically played that game with 16 men.
We did, yes.
Because Solo only came in with 3 minutes to go, I think, and you could tell he really wanted to play, get amongst it. If you could imagine being that person on the sideline, that young prop, and you're watching all this, feistiness going on the field, and you just be itching. And he had to wait there for 77 minutes. But took a few strong hit ups and put his hand up for future. But Josh King coming back on the side, and I think as far as this year, he's the one with the most experience with playing with the rest of the playing group.
But the most interesting thing to come out of today's team naming, Nagy, was Aiden Guerra has been named on an extended bench.
What?
Yeah, Aiden Guerra has been named in the number 21 jersey.
Now,
already.
Now, for those who may have missed it, Aiden Guerra had his foot bare, he was clinging on by a hair. It
All
was
those like
basically
me who just forgot it.
It was basically, last it was a few weeks ago. What happened to Aiden? I said he broke his leg, but his ankle, it was a dislocated fracture, so it not only came out of the socket, which I only imagine is like a Ken doll if you pulled the leg clean off. I say Ken doll and not Action Man because that obviously shows something about my childhood. But if you remove the leg completely from its socket and it's just a ball there, that's how I imagine what happens on the ankle. If you just pull the foot off, there's just a ball joint there. That happened as well as he fractured a bone, and he's managed to come back.
You sound like a doctor then, Nagy.
Now, we're neither of us are doctors.
We must impress that upon you. We are not doctors.
Now, but it's one of those things that we're just walking him back very early. Slade Griffin's not too far away either. Not that I'm all too excited about seeing him come back, because the last thing I want him to do is have some sort of another horrific injury. And if we're playing well, introducing a player back into that, maybe just as a running forward, maybe bring.
Well, that's the thing at the moment. The team's playing so well. Do you make those changes? You know, players are coming back from injury, but do you disturb what's working? Do you change the team up if what the team is doing is clearly working quite well?
If it ain't broke, it still ain't broke.
It still ain't broke.
Unlike Aiden Guerra's ankle, which is now fixed. Anyway, it's good to see him back. It's good. It could have been a season-ending injury, and he's obviously one of our most consistent performers. Moved into more of a bench role this year, with the likes of Lockie Fitz playing such and Mitch Barnett playing such strong roles. So, but if we want to be a finals contender, we have to work. He's the player that we need in the side.
Absolutely, yes. But, I think his return may come a bit slowly. He'll be brought back through New South Wales Cup, I would imagine. And, ease him back in. You've got to ease him back in.
Rightly so. He's a class player. Look forward to having him back. Now, Liam, as I was saying moments ago.
Yes.
Now, there's... With what comes with success and expectation is you get these little annoying little... sometimes when you might have a tag on your shirt and it just brushes you and you're like, what is that? And it becomes irritating. That's basically what Sydney media is to the rest of the NRL, because the speculative dribble, as we've spoken about before, and it's what it does now is, now that the limelight is shining directly on the Knights, all it does now is gives these Sydney journalists, and I'll use journalists with those quotation sort of finger bunnies, the journalists, basically they have nothing to report. They don't come to Newcastle. They don't have any whispers or any sort of inside thing, but they can just speculate. Now, the thing that they're speculating on now is something that we highlighted weeks ago, just saying, like, with success will come, where's Kalen Ponga going to be signed? Now, the one that pissed me off, and I'm taking this personally,
Nag, are you taking this personally?
The one that pissed me off the most was the term war chest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was used by Dean Bulldog Ritchie, hint in the name, the Bulldogs have a war chest of $8.5 million, and they're coming after all the big players, Tommy Trbojevic, Kalen Ponga, and all the rest. Anyone that's making noise, the Bulldogs are going to sign them. Now, one man's war chest is another man's rebuild, and that's exactly what the Bulldogs have. They have none players in about 2 years. They have all their experienced players about to be let go. They're unsigned. The Will Hopewades, the Kieran Forans, anyone that they've already lost so much in the respects of David Clemmer leaving the side. And his thing of they have $8.5 million. They have $8.5 million to sign a team that actually wants to play for the Bulldogs, who are sitting very low on the ladder.
Last,
in fact. That's about as low as you can get. Now, if you think for one moment that the stars of the NRL are coming to the Bulldogs for the sake of money to play with basically reserve graders, come on, Dean. Come on, mate. Let's get fair income, and let's stop where there's nothing to be written about. Let's just not write about it. I know the NRL's not that interesting of a game, but let's just focus on what's happening on the field and stop worrying about where Kalen Ponga is going to be signed in 3 years' time.
Well, that's the thing. He's still got 2.5 years left on his contract. Other clubs can't talk to him. He's very happy in Newcastle. His family's very happy in Newcastle. We know that his family plays a huge role in where he's at and where he's playing. And I think it was. Someone tweeted at Barry Toohey recently about this, good friend of the show, Barry, and his response was merely the crying, laughing emoji. And I think if Barry's responding in that fashion, Knights fans, we've got nothing to worry about.
I don't think I've ever seen Barry smile, let alone laugh. So if you're making Barry laugh, you're doing a great job.
That's it. If we couldn't make him laugh, nothing will.
Obviously, he's a lovely guy. He says he's just dry.
Yeah.
But look, it's just one of those. If there's nothing there, and so it's all for a player that's. he could be on a 3-year contract and just signed it. You know what I mean? But because he was on a 4-year and he's a year and a half into it, it's like, where's he going to go after? There's also been some people, talking about, all of Kalen Ponga's friends are in Brisbane. Now,
he's got friends here now.
Well, this is the
Will
thing.
be his friends.
By saying all of his friends are in Brisbane is such an interesting assessment of the situation, considering he lived in Townsville, and then he's obviously spent some time in Brisbane. I think it'd be fair to say that he has some friends in Brisbane, some friends in Townsville, some friends in New Zealand, and some friends in Newcastle. So anywhere that you say of any of those places, possibly that he could be signed.
Also, I don't know much about the ins and outs of being a professional sportsman, but I could not imagine in too many cases that the location of your friends would dictate where you play rugby league. Surely it would be more, who's giving you the most money, who's got the best prospects.
Sure.
I don't think the friends argument really should come into it at all.
The Knights are in the position now that they're going to offer Kalen Ponga a contract of $1 million plus, and that's about as good as any other team can offer him.
It's not enough.
Well, this is the
Give
thing.
him more.
This is the thing. In the end, it's going to be about a few $100,000, and you might have a player that might have a team that's really well set up for that particular time, and it might be the Gold Coast Titans. They say, look, we've got all this money because no one wants to come and play here. The NRL gives us $10 million at the beginning of the season. Kalen, do you want 2 of those $1 million? And then he has to just make the decision. It's like, well, do I want to go to that team and play for a team that is not performing very well, and I'll be the only one of any talent there, or do I want to play for a team that is currently playing well in the Newcastle Knights and a playing group that I've thrived under
and has a good outlook for the future?
Yeah,
not to forget our outlook for the future, Nagy.
If in a very real concern, I'm talking with red and blue glasses on it. My only concern for is if Kalen Ponga manages to win a premiership at a very young age, win an Origin series, play for Australia, tick all the boxes, and then he's 25, and then the All Blacks come knocking, and then he says, I want a new challenge. That's the only concern, and that's being real, and that's me not trying to be a negative Nelly or a negative Nagy, you could even say, but that's just me saying, look, these things could happen. Any contract that Kalen Ponga signs in the NRL just keeps him from being signed to another NRL club. It won't stop him from code hopping, because that's just what happens with these massive talented players.
Absolutely, and I think I was reading today that they've put off contract negotiations for the Origin period because he doesn't want that worrying him. And Brownie said on NRL 360 tonight, he says, when Kalen comes to me and talks about it, we'll talk about it. But we're not going to push it on him, because that's when things can get messy, when the clubs try and push these, deadlines for negotiation on the players. Basically, the club are just saying, when Kalen wants to talk about it, we'll talk about it. And, we'll sort it out when it's there to be sorted out. Just because they haven't done it now doesn't mean they're not going to do it. It just means they haven't done it now.
Haven't done it now. Also, Regan Campbell-Gillard was rumoured to be coming to the Knights. So I'm buying back into that rumour mill that I just put shit on. But wouldn't that be fantastic? I've always been a big fan of Regan, but he's also had broken his jaw twice in the last 12 months. Maybe he's not as good anymore. Who knows?
He'd be a fun signing, though.
Time to open your sack, Liam.
Oh.
What have we got? This sack was bellowing.
It was bellowing.
Bellowing? It was actually
billowing in the breeze.
No, it was making noises. Bellowing. That's how full it was. It was saying, "Help me, I'm full." It's got a voice and everything. This is your testicles we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's got. They sound much more masculine than I'd anticipated. That's nice. Thank you.
What have we got?
First question from Justin Guion. Justin Guion asks, with Clemmer out for 4 to 6 weeks and DSAF really stepping up to the plate with a powerful performance against the Bunnies, aka the Burgess brothers, who would be the perfect partner in the front row with Daniel whilst Clem is out?
Look, it's a very tough question. I'm going to throw it back to you, Liam.
I think James Gavay.
Jay Gavay.
Our man Jay Gavay. I think he really put his hand up against Souths.
On his day, he plays really well. He's got this weird sort of... He either plays like he runs with absolutely no regard for his personal safety into the line, and then he's also... he does a bit of hop and stepping and does all this quite theatrical gymnastics sort of style.
That's my only thing with Jay Gavay. I'd much rather he ran without that concern for his personal health and safety. Obviously, we
prefer that.
I would prefer that.
Yes.
Because
that's the job he does.
A big fella like that, he can get away with that. And I think, going forward, he's the perfect foil for Dan Safidi. He has got that little bit of footwork in him, but once he starts, taking it up off the back fence, as they say, I think he can be the immensely damaging runner, which he showed he was at the Warriors last year. He was, probably their best forward last year. And I think Jay Gavay is the man to start to start the games with Daniel Safidi up there. I think Jacob Safidi probably has a lot of improvement to do before he gets back up there.
Basically coming up without a pre-season with the broken leg. So,
but you never know. It'd be great to one day have those two as two of our marquee front rowers.
Genetically is identical.
See, that's weird. I don't understand. They should be exactly the same.
Apparently, identical twins, have the same smell.
Huh. Interesting.
But maybe one of them could wear your nice aftershave.
Yeah, absolutely. If the boys are wondering, it's Ralph Lauren Polo Original Green.
Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you. Sean Lazenby asks, with Clemmer out of Origin, do you give the Origin spot to Daniel Safiti? He's been killing it. New South Wales needs someone to stand up the way he did against the Burgess brothers.
Thank you, Sean. Obviously, the admin of Die Hard Newcastle Knights page over there. It's look, I don't think so. I think he's just finding a spot. I think he's going to be dominant for a few more weeks in NRL. I think he did a great job against the Burgess boys, but I think throwing him into that arena would literally be too soon for a young prop. 23, I think he only is. But the only other thing is his defence when he's put back onto his hips isn't good. In the middle, it's fantastic, but he commits and sort of locks his legs, and then he misses a lot of tackles,
which you can't do in Origin. In the middle, especially with your Cameron Munsters and your Kalen Pongers who can exploit that in Origin, you can't get away with that. I also think he isn't ready. He has had a few good games, but it's only really been the last few weeks that he's hit his straps. But at the same time, you got to look at who New South Wales have for that other front row spot. Jordan McLean went down injured the other night. McLean. I don't know. I think they say McLean, but who knows? He went down injured the other night. And now they're talking about Matt Lodge, perhaps, which would rub a lot of New South Wales fans the wrong way, I would imagine. But he's entered the conversation, and there isn't really too many other people. Phil Rothfield actually said he thinks Safidi would be great.
I thought you were going to say he thought, give me a run.
I think
a lot of people would have liked to see him being trampled over.
Running into the teeth of a Queensland forward pack. Next is from Shane Avenel. Shane asks, where do you see the Knights finishing on the ladder? He thinks if we keep playing the same way, we can finish top 4.
I think we're gonna run into some losses, and could be the first one could be against the Storm, the premier side of the competition for probably the last 10 years. Look, we're only getting better and better each week. We're winning differently, which is nice.
Winning at all is different for us.
That's true. We're winning. We're winning different kinds of games sometimes, but we've also seemed to get on the front foot a lot. I think if the Storm puts a few points on us and we manage to come back and beat them, we've just got winning in the blood. We could finish as high as we want, but otherwise, I feel 6th.
I'm thinking it's a 6th place team as well, which is not necessarily a bad thing because 6th is generally that cutoff. When you've got 7th and 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, all fighting for that log jam at the bottom of the 8. That's where you start encountering problems and teams start, wearing themselves out in the run to the final. So I think it's a 6th place team, and that's definitely a good thing and a good place to attack the postseason. Daniel Gibson asks, how come the NRL has protected the Burgess brothers' behaviour? A blatant headbutt and an overly aggressive brother defending him. If there was any other two players, they would be berated by the press a lot more than I've seen throughout the week. And I agree with Daniel.
Yeah.
Thomas Burgess was only given a 1-week suspension for his headbutt on Daniel Safidi. Sam Burgess was fined $1,350 for contrary conduct, which was essentially a haymaker from behind Daniel Safidi. I think the Match Review Commission or the judiciary or whoever it was that made this decision, it was a bit of a boneheaded decision.
Yeah.
And I think, there's all these arguments always about protecting players in the games and for the good look of a game. And, how bad of a look is a headbutt?
I think we're going to find what those Burgess boys both being sold off to other teams next year. And I feel like Sam Burgess is that untouchable player, like that a bad word won't be said about him because he's tied up with Fox Sports, he's tied up with Channel 9, he's doing all these things and they can't say and also he haymakers blokes from behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they quietly shuffle that aside. So it's special treatment for special players.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Daniel. I think it is special treatment for special players.
Last one from the sack, mate.
Last one from the sack is from K. William Wilson.
Oh.
Boys and hashtag ScoFay, which our users might not know. That it's the official.
That's my Christian name.
The official hashtag for Nagy is hashtag ScoFay. Simple question: is Pearce the best player in the game at the moment, based on current form, irrespective of Dally M points?
Even respective of
got to be a yes.
Yeah, like halfbacks always are the shining light of a team. A team playing well will always, the halfback typically is the one that's leading around the pack, and Mitchell Pearce is doing that. You take him out of that side, even you got a Ponga in and Pearce out. We don't beat South. So if he's the one that's knocking off the Giants at the top of the ladder, and if he leads us to a victory against against Melbourne. And look, he potentially he could beat Melbourne with us and then get selected for the Blues and wrestle the series back for us. And wouldn't that be just a bloody career worth of a nice, into his 30th year in the game, not in the game, he hasn't been playing for 30 years, 30th year of life, and 10th plus year in the game, and he's always been part of those losing Blues sides, and only coming away with one premiership. It'd be a nice way for him to say, like, still got it, never lost it. It's that's it for the sack. Thanks everyone for writing into the sack. Liam, it's time for 6 of the best.
You're 6 of the best.
Better than all the rest. We could have gone the second verse there. That's how much feeling we had. Now, Liam, I saw Heimel Hunt playing last week, and I thought, gee, that's a quiet achiever. Just someone getting through his work. And I thought,
fantastic.
And I thought the whole game has been made up of probably about 10 memorable people and about 1,000 quiet achievers. All these teams, all these great sides, you think, oh, look, Jonathan Thurston's fantastic, Andrew Johnson's fantastic, and then all these other players that just played around them.
They're neglected and forgotten about, and it's a goddamn shame.
And it's the time to bring them to the surface.
We're going to recognise them. Now, the first one for me...
Past, present, whoever you got, Liam.
The first one for me obviously means a lot to us as a Newcastle Knights podcast. He's a good friend of the show. He's been on before. It's got to be Billy Peden, the man from Cessnock.
Yeah.
He's just, through all those years where the Knights were successful, he was just the bedrock of the team. He was always there. He didn't really receive the plaudits he probably deserved by being surrounded by other stars, especially in the forward pack, with Simpson, Kennedy, Harrigan, of course. He didn't get the plaudits he deserved, but I think he was one of the great quiet achievers of in rugby league history. Even.
Yeah, I think you have to be right. Bill Peden, scoring a try in both grand finals. Yeah, both grand finals.
Yeah, and 2 in 2001. I think,
two in 2001. Yeah, look, he played in both, and he was a performer right through. And even for a hooker to when you got Danny Badiris coming to that side and then moving so seamlessly to the back row, and still, he was just a player of yesteryear. Now, Liam, my one is a little bit similar, but one that you didn't hit that quite as many heights, and that's a bloke that I've spoken about a few times on various chats of similar sort of nature, and that's Regan Tanner.
Regan Tanner playing
for the Newcastle Knights, and mainly for his efforts in 2005. 2005 we got the spoon, and we was ravaged with injury. We couldn't, we started the season without Danny Badiris, and then when Danny started coming back, we got Joe broke his jaw, and then they both went off and played Origin, but we managed to string 8 wins out of the last 11 games. Still got the spoon, but a player that played in every game for us that year was Regan Tanner. Never one for really stats or playing anything too spectacular, but what he did was went out there and put his body on the line, usually playing at lock every game, and just did all the hard nitty-gritty work, and was a big part of those 8 wins of the last 11. He went on to play 2006, and I think he went back to the local league in 2007. I think he played about 90-odd games. One of those players you might just forget about, but I tell you what, he put on the red and blue, and we're bloody proud of him.
Definitely strikes. He's one of those players that the club was built on. Alan McMahon had that great saying, be the player everyone wants to play with. My next one, Nagy, is this one harkens back to my childhood. It's Greg Florimo. Now, Greg Florimo was playing for the North Sydney Bears at a time when they were actually good in the early to mid 90s. He was surrounded by some Origin superstars, Brett Dallas, Gary Larson, Billy Moore. He was kind of at the tail end of Mario Fennick's career. He had Jason Taylor paired with him in the halves, and he only played something like 4 Origins because there was always better players ahead of him.
Yeah.
He was that kind of player where he was excellent at his club form. He was excellent in his club form, but there were always better players ahead of him to get the representative nods. But as a North Sydney fan as a kid, he was the heart and soul of that club. He played over 200 games. He ended up, I think, with 2 tests to his name, so he did get a little bit of representative recognition, but nowhere near enough, and he just went in, week out, gave his all for the red, black and white, and he was a really large part of my childhood, Greg Florimo. So thank you, Flo.
And we're paying a bit of tribute now. My last one quickly is Matt Hilder. We had him on the show last year. Played 100 games for the Newcastle Knights, another 100 for the Sharks and the Titans. Played in a host of positions. You have a look at him now. Everyone calls him Trouble. We asked him why. He's not going to give that up. You have a look at him now. He's just a lad. He just likes being around the lads and having a few beers and telling a few stories. Very humble guy for someone that played 200 first grade games, and managed to come back to the end of his career career with the Knights after playing a full season in reserve grade and scoring a try in that win over Melbourne in 2013. So, he showed that he can still do it right up to the end of his career. And gee, he put his body in line. At one stage, he split his head clean open and knocked his tooth out.
You could see the brain.
It was amazing, and he still rocked up to work every day. Fantastic work, Trouble. Who's your last one we got?
My last one's got to be Kevin Campion. Now, watching Kevin Campion, you were always amazed that he seemed to bleed every single game. He was the man that was known to spill blood in every game for his side. He put in everything he could. I think he only ended up playing about 2 Origins, but you always hear these stories about players who played with Kevin Campion that you'd rather no one else on your team. He was a bit of an enforcer. He was a rough and tumble fella. He was never afraid to drop the gloves. But
with Shane Webke, he had a famous
with Shane Webke, that stint was brilliant. But he played for 6 different clubs across his time.
Cowboys, Warriors,
Adelaide Rams, Gold Coast Seagulls as well, teams that are now defunct, and he's not.
Yeah.
So, we'll see who did better there. I think, Kevin Campion was always one of my favourites, and, one of the least favourite players you wanted to ever come up against, who never really got the rep honours that I think he deserved.
It was, it's fantastic to pay tribute to all these players. It really, it's a fantastic game, and they're the people that, they're not little, but they're the kind of people you watch every week, and then, they might be your favourite players, and then they just sort of pass on. Not always die, but the limelight passes them over, and then they return to regular life. But we still bloody remember you, underachievers, overachievers, underachievers. How's the reserve grade looking for this week, Liam?
I forgot to write it down. Thank you.
I actually glanced over your page and saw there was nothing there. Look, if you know how the reserve grade's going, please email into the Joust and let us know. I'm sure they might be doing all right. Hopefully they're doing as well as the first grade side, which is a bloody exciting time to be a Knights supporter. But if you like the Joust, please like us on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram, Twitter. I think I hit them all. I think all of those social pipes. Thank you very much for joining us again, guys. It's going to be an exciting time. Please head down to the next home game and cheer on the boys, because this is a really special time to be a Newcastle Knights supporter. Not often that this happens, that we could possibly knock the 3 top teams off the table.
It's in Melbourne, though.
Yeah, well, I know it's down there. No, the next home game.
Next one. Oh, okay.
Win, lose or draw, go down there and celebrate with them, because it's it's a really exciting time.
If you are in Melbourne, get to that game.
Yeah, if you're watching us from Melbourne, get down there as well. We won't be there, but we'll be there in spirit. Thanks very much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Wow, what a great song. Woo.